Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Life Chronicles and Deep Dives podcast. I'm here with Coach Cornelia, all the way in Romania.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back.
And my name is Coach Michael Ranjit. I'm here in the United States. And today we are going to be talking about enjoying the simple things in life, embracing simplicity, and taking a step back and thinking about the small things. Coach Cornelia, please tell me what you think about simplicity and the small things.
In Denmark, we have this concept of hygge, which means that you are enjoying little things in life, helped by the weather in Denmark because there is a lot of rain and heavy clouds, and then people maybe forced by the weather just started enjoying the comfort of their home. You have a little candle lit up, a very good book or a good movie, let's say. You get some popcorn or hot chocolate and just cuddle yourself in a blanket and just enjoy that moment in life. So this is maybe the most interesting definition of enjoying little moments. And if you live in the moment, I have a small theory about it. If you live in the moment and you don't think about past and you don't think about the future, and then you in your mind you put a pin in the future, and then I like to believe that while you're still and enjoying the moment, the present time, that pin comes faster to you. If you, I like to believe that the more still you are in the present, the faster time comes from the future. I mean, comes to you, bringing you that wish from that pin you have. As long as you enjoy the present moment and not think about anything else.
Absolutely. I think being present is probably like one of the biggest parts of enjoying small moments in life. Um, Everybody today, like even right now, I mean, we have to do this because we're across the globe. We're on different sides of the globe, so we're interacting through our phones and computers and stuff. But there are cases where there's a lot of evidence to back up enjoying small moments by just putting down the phone, right? Putting down the electronics device, stepping away from social media for a while. Um, just kind of like being present with yourself, maybe outside, maybe you're on a walk, um, maybe you're just doing meditation, breathing exercises, whatever. As long as you're with yourself, with somebody else, or maybe you have a pet, and you don't have that phone, you can enjoy the simpler things in life. Like I've noticed, I'll be out on a walk in nature and like a little hike or something, and I'll notice like a bird or sometimes even like dew on grass. Like I'm just like looking at it and I'll just like kind of just like, oh, that's so cool. Sometimes I snap. I do a lot of like landscape photography and like sceneries, and so like when I see something like that, I try to capture it with my phone. But ultimately, I've put my phone away in order to recognize that little piece, that little slice of like beauty that comes from being present in nature in this case.
Yeah, you remembered me of something. I was in the car one day waiting for someone, and I was on the phone. And then I realized, what was I doing before having the phone, sitting in the car waiting for someone? I was looking around, right? So I
Mhm.
started around and I started to notice that the trees were blooming. Someone passed by and had a great jacket on. An old lady with very nice earrings, and it's something that somehow it feeds your soul in a way, you know, rather than being being on the phone. For me, equals being absent from the present time. It's like your brain is asleep and you don't register anything. It's nothing that feeds you and your soul or your mind. But looking around, seeing people, seeing nature, it just feeds your soul, right?
Yeah. I mean, and even just in the interpersonal level, like I said, we're interacting through a phone because we have to. But if we could, we'd be sitting right next to each other giving this podcast. When people, even my fiance catches me sometimes, and like I'll be sitting at the table, and she'll be like, okay, well, like we're at dinner table, time, I got to put the phone away. So I'll get so caught up in something or down a rabbit hole, right? But I'm not actually being present with the person. So like on interpersonal communication levels, right? Putting that phone away, being present with that person, right? And I'm not talking about like watching a movie with them, because then you're still interacting with a third party. Let's say you guys, two people, they go out on a walk, right? Holding hands, not holding hand, whatever they're doing. I don't, they're skipping, what, they're skipping through the woods. Um, they're with no electronic device, unless like there's some need for navigation, which they can generally do with like a little hiking map anyway. They can interact on a much deeper, more intimate level, right? So because you've removed that third layer, you can really ask those questions. You're listening, you're responding, you're seeking more information, being present with them. But also, you guys together, the two people, can look at whatever nature they're looking at. They could be even in the city, right? Let's say they're in the city and they're walking down the street. They notice something together, right? And then they can talk about it. They can, that reminds me of this, or then they can relate and be present with each other about that, like whatever they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. My grandmother and our grandfather parents grew up like this, um, seeing everything, talking about everything. Like they were meeting with the neighbors on the street and talking about the other neighbors, maybe, or look what car the other one has bought. I have new birds in my yard, and so on. All of those were present things. So as long as you don't have this layer that you're talking about, the electronic layer, you can concentrate on the present. Concentrating on the present, you can enjoy the little things in life, like a good conversation, or even a small conversation about weather. A good book, maybe a bird flying around you, and so on. So I think it's a very important condition to give up on these electronic devices, to be able to enjoy the any moment in life.
Yeah. So 100% there. And how I do this, right, is so like I actually have a meditation that I use to help clients. And that particular meditation requires the client to use all five of their senses. Now,
Mm,
why do I have that set up that way? Well, they close their eyes, and then they start to imagine the world around them that they're creating in a first person view using their senses. Why do
mm,
I do that? Because it brings their presence to that place, right? So when we're out and about in the world, a lot of people interact through their phones, they interact through, whatever. But if we're interacting through our senses, you can be sure that we're present in the moment, right? If we're having a conversation with somebody, if we're tasting a meal, like sitting down to actually like taste the meal or taste the drink, whatever we're enjoying, right? You're outside, you're feeling the sun on your skin, right? Or the wind, right? You're listening to the birds chirping or the wind howling or frogs or, whatever's around you. You're bringing all of those senses together to be
yeah.
more present in the moment. The next aspect of it is slowing down, right? We're always in life going fast. We're always jumping from one thing to the next, more so with like apps and TikToks and, all these other things where they're jumping from one thing to the next to the next to the next to constantly try to like get the next best thing, the next high or whatever. Enjoying the simple things in life requires people slowing down. be present, right? In order to use all five of those senses, we must slow down.
Yeah. And it's pretty hard to slow down. But if we slow down and we just, usually doing this every single day. I'm sitting in front. I don't know why I'm doing this in front of my fridge. I don't know exactly why, but that's where I'm. It's my best place probably to think about it. And I'm thinking we have a lot of worries nowadays. We have a lot of things on our minds, a lot of troubles and so on. I'm thinking in this moment, this second that I'm living in, do I have everything I need? Yes. Thank you, universe. And you cannot imagine the fulfillment that I feel. I feel safe, I feel secure, I feel happy that in this moment I have everything I need. I don't have to think about what's going to happen in 1 hour, because I'm going to think about it in after the 1 hour, right? It's all about the present moment. And for me, it's been a great discovery to do this, and I'm practicing this every day. Do I have when I feel a little bit anxious or angry or worried or something, I'm just going in front of my fridge again, and I'm just thinking, do I have everything I need in this moment? Yes. And that's great. And my state of mind changes, and my state of soul changes as well. I don't think about a list about uh, what I'm doing. This only when I'm trying to be grateful for what I have, and doing the inventory thing. But when I feel worried, that's when I'm going to the fridge, or maybe it's because it's the window there. I don't know exactly why there is where I feel like doing it, and just think it for 10 seconds about it, and that's all.
Mhm.
Bring me down on earth, bring me in the present. I don't have to think about the past. I don't have to think about the future. It's just the present, and realizing in the present that you have everything you need, and we don't really need that much.
Mhm.
If you sit to think about it, it gives you at least for me, it's very comfortable, and the worries are just dissipating just like this.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, so I'm going to tell you guys a secret. Um, for viewers that don't know and haven't caught up on previous episodes, I got ADHD, diagnosed ADHD. So I'm talking about slowing down, and it's because I have to do it, right? I'm a massive consumer of information, but I'm also, if there's something that needs to be done, it's almost like I have to do it immediately, right? So I really work hard to maintain like some degree of patience because like there uh I will have an event happen. Let's say I need to do something in the house. Okay. I will go, I may start that thing, but if I notice something else that needs to be done, I will divert to do that thing and try to do the first thing. And while I'm doing the second thing, there may be like five other things that I notice. And I'm starting to move all of these little things around. And eventually they get done, right? But I'm like running around doing all of the different little things, all simultaneously because I feel like they need to be done in the most immediate sense. So for me, slowing down and like being present in the moment is, just kind of like focusing on letting things go. I just did a video about letting things go. It's a very short one for interpersonal relationships.
Yeah,
Um,
I've seen it. It's great. It's a great video.
but like just in general, for me, letting go, hey, look, um, that box can be moved later, right? I don't need to move it immediately, right?
Mm.
I see this box, it's got to move right now, right? For me, slowing down and being present in the moment is like, focusing on what I was doing, focusing on, trying to keep that routine going, but also noticing that I need to do something, but then not doing it that minute until I'm done with, whatever I had already planned. Man, I get crazy. I'll be running all around the house doing like nine things at the same time. if I don't do that.
Yeah. So is it hard to do it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So for my routine, I get home from work, uh, and then before I leave the kitchen, I have to make sure the dishes are done, everything's put away, and like everything in the kitchen's like where it's supposed to be, right? The paperwork's all done, so like the mail's all sorted and stuff to each placemat, and so like I have to do that, right? That's routine, right? But now if I notice something in the middle of that routine that needs to happen, oh man, I'm trying to do the routine, and then I'm like, I may have to run to the back of the house and then back to the front of the house, and it just gets kind of crazy. So for me, slowing down is focusing on the routine, noticing what needs to be done, and then doing it later. Like for instance, right now, I know that I need to cut the grass today, right? But instead of getting up immediately and cutting the grass, I'm gonna give it a few minutes. We're gonna wait till after we're done with this podcast, and then I'm gonna go cut the grass. Because otherwise, I'd be getting up right now because I know I was like, I need to cut the grass.
Yeah, it must be pretty hard. It's but what you're doing is also trying to think about the present moment, right?
Yeah,
Even if it's aside, but
yeah. Well, I mean, in the basis sense of it, I'm literally moving from present moment to present moment. But
yeah,
like, let's say I'm moving this over here because it needs to go there, but then this needs to go up here, right? But so in each thing I'm doing, I'm actually losing what I was doing before and focusing on what's happening in front of me. So yeah, in a sense, it is present is about as present moment as you can get. The problem with that is that other like because I'm switching things, uh the first thing that I was supposed to be doing may not get done right away.
but what I wanted to ask you, what is the thing that is bringing you down to earth most in and in present most in your life?
What is something that brings me down to earth
Yeah,
and keeps me
just
present?
in present time. Yeah,
Yeah, so like if I notice I'm getting a little out of hand, I'll just stop doing stuff, right? Um because some like I know that I can feed it, right? So like I can either feed it or I can cut it off, right? Same thing with like information flow if I'm like looking on researching something, going down a rabbit hole. So what I'll do is I'll stop and then I'll wait a little bit, and I'll be like, okay, what was I doing first? I have to ask myself that. Um, but I engage my senses, right? So like that's where I start to use like, hey, I'm here, I'm standing in this spot, right? What can I hear? What can I see? What can I feel around me, right? And then I'll generally slow down, calm down. If I'm out in nature, I'm not running around like, task oriented, right?
yeah.
And I'm still using my senses to stay there. First and foremost is, excuse me, sight, right? I'm looking that I'm feeling, right? I may touch a plant or, like feel the sun, right? Run my hand in some water, like whatever I am around, right? But I'm also like listening to it. I'm looking for those beautiful moments um, that only come when you're present in the moment.
Indeed, you're talking about nature, and I remembered that someone told me about 20 years ago. Why don't you go out and sit in the sun with your eyes closed and just try to feel where your skin gets warmer from the sun? And it might look something stupid, but it's such a great feeling to concentrate on the warmth of your skin coming from the sun and getting warmer and warmer and warmer. It's the best exercise to be present in your own life and
Mhm.
enjoying the time, because when we become present in our lives, as you said, we can enjoy simple things, because we have simple things in our lives every moment. So you can enjoy hot water, you can enjoy cold water, you can enjoy a good meal, you can enjoy a good book, or just you can just enjoy yourself. You're alive, you're good, and so on.
Yeah, definitely. I will try the sun thing. Um, when it's sunny out. I don't know if the sun's out today, but when I go out and cut the grass, I will. I'm gonna concentrate because like even when I go out to cut the grass, right, I'll see things that need to be done
Yeah,
outside. So I so then I'm like I start cutting the grass, but then I have to go get a broom or then I'm like, getting a shovel out or so my goal today when I go out there to do this is to do each task in order. And so like I also find enjoyment in everyday activities. So I also like to focus on those things that I'm actually doing, right? So even if I'm moving this over here and this one up here and whatever, right? I'm finding enjoyment in doing it. And I think part of that is because if I get it done sooner, I feel like I can relax afterwards. But I'm not relaxing while I'm doing the things. So today, my goal is to cut the grass and focus on just being present doing that. So I'm trying to find enjoyment in that activity, that task that I have to do. Because if I don't, and I develop like some sort of like resentment towards it, or I get angry at it, right? Then I'm definitely not going to be having a good time, right? I would actually be inviting negativity in
yeah,
rather than, working towards positivity.
yeah. And as long as we're focusing on what we are doing, we don't have lost time. Because I think, for example, if I'm doing something that I'm keep thinking I hate doing this, I'm looking forward to finish, I just want to finish it and I just want to do something else, that time that I'm doing that thing, it's a lost time. It's lost, you can never get it back. While if I'm sitting and let's say I'm sewing something, whatever, I don't like it, but if I start to follow the needle, just follow the needle when I'm sewing it, right? I'm just following the needle, brings you in the present, and that time is an earned time. Because if you think about it, for after 2 hours, you will remember that needle and you yourself sewing. While if you don't do it and you just bring negativity, as you said, in this activity, it's a lost time. It doesn't mean anything. You won't remember it, maybe only with the resentment, and that's all. So you
Mhm.
don't time with anything.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And then so like you said sewing, right? There's a lot of other things that can be done, right? That could potentially be like hobbies, right? So like sewing while it's work could also be a hobby. Building miniature boats, Legos, hobby. All of those things can bring, enjoyment, small
Yeah,
moment enjoyment, but also like achievement at the end of it because they've, successfully completed something. You're working towards something. I think that's a major aspect to enjoying the small moments is, like we've talked about goal setting and moving through the goals. And if you have like a large goal, we're breaking it down into bigger goals. Hobbies, things that people enjoy, they're all big goals that can be broken down into small goals, which lead to positive achievements.
for sure. Yeah. To bring into our talk, my favorite poetry in all times, it's If by Rudyard Kipling. There's two verses that I want to talk about today. I'm gonna read them down. If you can fill the unforgiven minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run. He's saying that we should fill up every single minute with something. And focus focusing on what you're doing, it's one of the ways you can do it. And it's the way you can, let's think about in a different way. sometimes the weekend comes and we think, where did this week went by? It just flew, right?
Hmm.
But if we are living every moment and focusing on every moment, we won't be feeling the same thing. It's gonna be a full week. We're gonna feel it's been a full week because we had we felt something, we thought about something, we focused on something, we have memories from that week. So it was a full week, and I think that's a very important step we should do, focusing on every second of our lives, and this is how we're gonna live longer. Even not if you cannot, mm, you can live 60 years uh, with an empty life, or 60 years with a full one. So I plead for the full one, of course.
Right. I definitely think that taking the time to like pay attention to each moment throughout the day, a lot of people I feel are maybe kind of like going through life. They're not participating in it.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about like just like going to church or I'm talking about like going to church or like going to like like let's say they're going to some sort of protest or something, right? That's still participation, but participation in life is a little bit different where focusing on each second, each minute, you know, he says to fill the fill the day with something, right? That something could be just sitting, being
Mm,
present with yourself, right? I mean, but we're actively doing it, right? So
mm,
it's not like we're sitting in front of the TV, or staring at a wall, kind of like you do when you go to the fridge.
yeah. I mean, when we're talking about this, we don't have to do big things. This is why we talk about enjoying simplicity,
Hmm.
enjoying things in life. We don't have to do big things to enjoy, to feel enjoyment. We just have to participate to every second of our lives. That's what we're pleading for, right? Um, and I have a friend who told my aunt. I have an aunt. She's starting losing memory, and he told her, "You should tell your brain what it's doing now. I'm gonna take this cup of coffee and drink, sip a little bit of it. I'm gonna move this from here to there." And it made me think about it. Why do you have to talk to your brain like this when you're losing memory? So I started doing it sometimes, not all the time, but I wanted to see what happens.
Hmm.
uh, it's very interesting how you remember in 3 months. You can remember when you told your brain, we have to move this from here to here. So when
Hmm.
you're talking to your brain, participating in conversation and in doing that thing, being very aware of what you are doing, because most of the time we're not aware of what we're mainly robots. Sometimes the routine is
Hmm.
making, doing this, I'm cleaning here, I'm doing this, I'm cooking that, I'm going to work, coming back, and it's just a routine. Yeah.
Why do
And
you
it's very,
think people? Why do you think people jump from big thing to big thing all the time?
oh, that's a very good question. um maybe because it's what the society is expecting from us. I remember when my grandparents were I mean, they had me as a nephew when they were 40 years old, so they were pretty young. And no one was expecting from them to have, or to have great achievements, to do big things. They were very normal people, and it was, back then it was very normal to have kids. It was important to take them to school. Now everyone wants results from your kids. Everyone wants, for you to buy a bigger house, a bigger car, a bigger TV. it's just the expectance from the society. That's what I think. Because I found myself in many situations where I sat and thought about, um, do I really want to do this thing or not? And it's pretty recent when I have a group of friends who are pushing me to do something I didn't want to. And I was almost convinced that I should do that thing even if I didn't want to, because this is what you should do. This is what it's important today. So many, um, how do you call it, reasons to do that thing. And I came at home and I was feeling so insecure and worried about that, and I didn't feel like doing it. But at the same time, they expecting me to do it was important for me. I don't know why. I went to sleep. I had a horrible night, and I woke up in the morning. I decided I'm gonna do my way, and I felt at ease when I decided this. So I think the society is forcing us. We see on the TV people with great achievements. Why shouldn't we do the same? I think it's very hard to keep yourself with a clear mind these days.
Mhm. Yeah, there's a lot going on, and like you're right, society definitely it's almost like status. Like you have to have this, and then
Yeah,
like so like, and everybody's in competition over vacations for some reason. Um, yeah, it's very interesting. I don't really buy into it too much. But I mean, I don't really buy into like power and control either. I don't really like it. Don't want it. So for me, I just want what I want. Uh, but I don't feel I need to compete with anybody else with what I have. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's there and I'm enjoying, and I think it's because I earn what I'm like, what I have, like I'm earning it,
yeah.
but also like because I'm enjoying the simple thing, right? I'm enjoying it, right? I don't need to flaunt it because I'm enjoying it myself, right? There's something to be said for people externalize when they don't have, they're not fulfilled internally, right? So, and then we also, we remember like the games. So, football games, basketball games, stadiums, those are big things. It's almost like a distraction, right, from life. These things are, so many things are presented in front of us that distract us
Mm,
from the simple things, that it's almost impossible. I mean, as I say, almost impossible. It's very hard to bring that focus back
yeah.
to the self, to the world, to the simple things. My
When I came back in Romania, I remember that I promised myself, in Denmark you don't have this competition. Everyone is having a great lifestyle, so you're not in competition with anyone, because everyone is okay there. In Romania, it's this crazy competition in anything you can think about it. Everyone is competing with someone with something. If the neighbor has a bigger car, you have to get a much bigger one, and so on. So I promised myself I won't get into this competition with my daughter's school, for example, or what I'm doing, or um, whatever. This is why when they almost convinced me with something, I was in such a bad state, because I'm not sure that having big achievements is bringing you more joy than the simple ones. I'm not sure
Mhm,
about. I'm not sure that it's not just an adrenaline rush. You get it. Let's say you buy the biggest TV in the world, and then you
mhm.
have of enjoyment a few seconds maybe or something, and then you don't enjoy. I'm not sure you can enjoy it because you're looking for the next big thing.
The next
That,
thing after that, right? Yeah,
yeah.
it's a constant cycle of searching and seeking behavior for that next thing. Whereas if you're,
You will never be happy, because having of course I'm encouraging people to have big goals, but not thousands of them. and not material goals, because it's very hard to keep up. If you have a normal salary, you have a normal income, it's very hard to keep up with all the technology and cars and everything that comes on the market. So the first big mistake is comparing yourself to others and trying to be better than they are in terms of what they have and you don't have. And that's the perfect recipe for unhappiness.
Hmm.
At the same time, having a let's say having a normal car and just enjoying the ride, I think it's much more giving in anyone's life, rather than having a huge car and trying to pay it and not enjoying it. You're just working all day long just to pay the car.
Hmm. I mean, so that's, there's a lot of people that do that. They buy like, then maybe they have a daily driver, right? But they have these really expensive vehicles that they don't use, right?
Yeah,
A lot of people buy boats. They have boats that they don't use, right?
yeah,
And like they may get some use out of that item or whatever it is occasionally, right? But they're not actively using it all the time. They're always looking for something else
yeah,
to bring them, like excitement or happiness, right? So like you'll see that on social media. They call it like doom scrolling or whatever, right? So you're
mhm,
constantly looking, or TikTok, where you're constantly like looking for the next thing
yeah,
to, excite the brain, right? Because you're constantly like, if you don't have it, you feel like you need, that next hit, that next high, right? And it is addictive, right? So seeking big things and constantly getting them, right? You're feeding it, right? So you remember how I talked about stopping?
yeah,
I know I can feed it, right? But sometimes it's time to stop it, right? Um, I'll give you an example. One thing I'm notorious for is information. I like to get information. So I use social media platform to get that information, right? And I will scroll on there for updates, right? Because I'm tracking like world news and stuff like that. There are times where I will look for hours on end. I'm just scrolling for information, and I'll take that one thing and I'll rabbit hole into like Google searches and whatever, and I'm like diving into them to get more information, to parse through what's true, what's not true, what the biases are, and all that stuff. There's a time where I got to stop doing that. I got to, say, hey, look, boom, we're done. Like you've been sitting here scrolling for the last hour. We got to put the phone down. We got to go outside and do something.
yeah,
So I usually do that. And that's important, right? So like it's okay. Everything in moderation, right?
sure,
It's I say that most things in moderation. Like we wouldn't want to encourage uh like bad drug usage, because once you start, you can't get right off topic. Everything in moderation. It's okay to scroll and search for that information. I also know that I need to take time to go outside. So the complete opposite of it. And
yeah,
I talk about going outside and spending time in nature on a lot of podcasts, and especially this one here too. And that's because that's what I do. I know that I need time to recharge away from society, away from world problems, and away from electronics. So what do? Hop in my truck, go to some place, and then I will just go sit. I've said on this podcast, I go sit on a mountain in the next town over, and I'll just sit there and like look out over, the view. I'm notorious for spur of the moment, like drives into the mountains, into the logging trail. Spur of the moment drives up into the mountains, into the logging trails. I'll go, east into the Cascade Mountains, and I will just somehow get lost up there for a day. And I like to do that. I know I need to do that to recharge, get, grounded, get in with nature, right? But also, like if I sit I mean, I love my house, right? It's a great house. But if I sit and I'm constantly staring at my phone, I'm not actually experiencing life. I'm watching life. And that to me doesn't jive. I realized over time, I'm actually wearing some of my two favorite colors. And I say my favorite colors, but I did a lot of introspecting on this. Purple is my number one favorite color. I like purple that's almost blue at the same time. I call it blurple. I don't know what the real name of it is. But I
Digo.
also noticed that I like blue and green, right? I also like red, but I don't see that's the thing is like how do I find my perfect? Um these colors I like. I notice that. I go out in nature and I'm actively seeking like green with blue. I don't go out in nature and seek red and orange. That could be a wildfire, you know. But you know what I mean? Like if I had a choice to go like, you know, to like a rocky, you know, desert region to see sightsee or into the mountains where it's blue and green, I'm going to go where it's blue and green, right? And these colors I've noticed about myself. I took inventory on it that these colors help me stay calm. They help me feel cool, right? I do wear reds. I wear like a dark red that I like, but not all the time. And you know, it's kind of like those mood ring things. Um, Generally, I like to feel cool and you know relax, one with nature, green and blue skies, green trees, you know, blue water, right? Other times I'm like, okay, we're gonna go out, we're gonna have a good time. I want to, you know, look sharp, dress sharp, red, right? So, you know, it just depends on the mood, but I've taken the inventory to notice those small things. Why do I like blue and green? Why do I like red? Well, red I like because of a comic book character in a movie that I really like called Blade, and he has a trench coat with red on the inside of it, but also I look good in red, right? The blue and green is because it's linked to the forest in the water, right? I'm like like if I have a chance to go be by water, I gravitate towards that.
Yeah.
Like I find I'll be out during the day, just driving around because I like to drive my truck. It's small things, right? Get in your truck, just drive it, right? I will generally find myself gravitating towards blue and green things, whether it's like a hike in the woods or to like a lake or to the ocean front. I mean, I live on an island, so I've got, you know, like all of those things around me, including forests and mountains. So I will gravitate towards those things and I'll stop. And it's almost like we talked about me having ADHD. I want to go to all of the places all at the same time. So what I could do is I'll sit for like at one place for like 25, 30 minutes, and then I'll go to the next place and I'll check out, see if something's new is there, you know?
Yeah, the color examples, the colors example is such a great example in enjoying your favorite things in all your awareness. So it's a such a great example. I'm gonna practice this. I'm gonna wear my favorite jacket, let's say, and I'm just gonna enjoy it all day long. Like I'm gonna look at it and I'm gonna say, "Hey, that's beautiful. I love it. I feel great in it." That's such a great example of enjoying the smallest things in life because we are dressing up every day, right? So it's so important to enjoy the clothes we wear. For example,
Mhm.
it's such an example.
Well, I noticed a lot of people wear clothes for other people, right? So like if you were to go to look at my wardrobe right now, you'd be like, wow, you've got three types of clothes. You know, I've got like my work slash tactical type stuff. I've got my sports stuff and I've got my like summer stuff. Of those things, none of them are, I have some kind of stylish things that I like to look sharp in, but really when I dress for me. I don't really dress for other people. Um, like I work out in the gym to be stronger. The way I look from working out is the benefit, not the goal.
Yeah.
So I mean, like when you, and I like introspect. So like each thing that I'm doing, right? Whether it's the colors that I'm wearing, whether it's like going outside, maybe I'm looking at dew on grass and I'll like get down on my hands and knees and I'll be like looking at it, trying to catch the sunlight coming through like at different angles and see what I could see. Like, why do I do that? Well, there's two things there, blue and green, right? The water blue, I mean it's clear, but blue, green, the sky's behind it, sunlight's there, you need the sun. Um, I like the way it looks. It's beautiful to me, right? So I'm just like I'm looking for those small things. I've noticed more recently, um, and this is after like narcissistic abuse, that I was able to start noticing more stuff in nature, whether
Mm.
it's like birds that are chirping. I will stop and look at flowers and just like I'm like getting all up in the like. I mean, I'm just like looking at it. Um, I want to like if it's safe, feel it. Like I'm just trying to like get an idea of what it is. I'm taking that time to look at the small things, like the less noticeable stuff.
Mm.
Um, and I'm really trying to focus on why I like it. What is the feeling that comes from me looking at this object, feeling it, being around it? Is there an energy exchange that I'm having with this object? Quite possibly. All mass has energy, right? And I've talked about this before, where, and especially in one of my other videos where I was giving a personal example, I feel that energy between like objects and life.
Yeah.
So whether it's like an animal, plant, right? I'm feeling that energy exchange, and I like to be in it. Small things.
Yeah. It all comes down to living for yourself. When you're talking about your wardrobe, you will find most of people buying what's stylish in that moment of their lives. And I remember one of my cousins. She's always very stylish. She's always knows what colors you should wear, with what kind of clothes you should wear, which shoes are. And I'm on the other side. I'm the kind of person I'm just wearing what I like. I don't care what the what's stylish. And she told me once, she haven't I think we haven't seen each other in 3 years, and she told me, "Oh, you're still dressing like this?" I said, yes, and I'm still going to do it because I'm not dressing for anyone else but me. And with this social media today, where you see uh, people having the great lives they pretend to have because they might not have it, and you might feel this sense of, I want to have it, want to have the same great experiences they have, the great life they have, but they're not having it. It's just social media. And that's why it's important to enjoy yourself, to be yourself, to enjoy yourself, to enjoy your things, no matter how crazy it might look.
Hmm.
Doesn't It just doesn't matter. The king of Romania, King Michael the First, he's unfortunately he passed away. He was king, a king, right? And his greatest hobby was to fix cars. And you could find him in his garage, full of oil or whatever it's called, the black thing from the cars, and very dirty, because he loved doing it. He didn't care about what people thought. The same with the king of Denmark. He passed away unfortunately as well. He used to garden. He had a garden. He was having so many crops, and even a TV show where he was cooking with his
Hmm.
own. I found it really great. Being yourself, such a great example of being yourself, living your own life, living in your truth.
Yeah, we talked about the last podcast. where I like go around and I do like martial arts moves, like just
Mm,
wherever I'm at. Um, like where I'm like imagining fighting multiple people. I don't really care who sees me do that. Like, yeah, they might look at me. They're like, okay. They might ask me, like, "Are you okay, sir?" Like, but for me personally, it's just like, I know what I'm doing. I'm just having a good time. Like the difference is knowing the difference between being play and serious when it comes to that, and like having those hobbies, having those things that bring you joy, the simple things that bring you joy. That I mean, because and if we break that down even further, that's him working on a car, or the other guy gardening. Those are both small achievements that they're enjoying, with an
yeah.
ultimate goal of, having a garden, or gardening in and of itself are small individual tasks that lead to a garden, right?
Mm,
Working on a car is, components and things that make a car run that ultimately leads to a full car. So
yeah.
like those small, precious things in life. Thank you for having this excellent talk with me, Coach Cornelia.
You're very welcome. I thank you too. I love these small talks we have. Uh,
Yes.
I enjoy actually the small conversations about small things.
Small conversations, small things. I love the way you snuck that in there. Hey, everybody, if you got any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down in the comments section below. We'll link our websites in the description box, and we'll see you guys in the next one.